means and services.
Let's get ready to rumble!
I am the greatest. I have a dream.
Leg, I'm coming for you.
Got it!
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
What's up, Mez?
Hello, how are we?
Yeah, well, yourself?
Yeah, good, man.
Long time, mate.
No, lots
Right.
happened in that time.
Yeah, lockdown has definitely been kind to you. You've got a little bit of a pot belly there, mate.
COVID kilos.
COVID kilos, you reckon? Hey,
Yeah, just grew a baby overnight, you know.
just grew a baby, eh? COVID baby, mate. It seems to be
It
a lot
is
of
a
them.
COVID baby, actually.
Yeah?
Yes.
How far along are you, mate?
28 weeks now.
28.
Full term will be 40 weeks, so yeah.
And how are you feeling?
I feel good. I
Do
feel
ya?
really, really good. Yeah,
That's
I've been
good.
blessed. I'm gonna admit. Yeah, I've been great.
Touch wood, eh?
Yes, I know.
Old wog kind of tradition.
I don't know, man. Yeah, that's a tradition. But I was just like, everyone's, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know.
You
Some
don't know?
training.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Like I know from looking at the nearly three gyms with opening Zetland for the first time this Saturday.
Yep.
By the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably be last Saturday.
Yeah.
With my hopeless nature, but mate, we've found that a lot of girls in our gym, a lot of females and a lot of males, or
Yeah.
male partners. We've got a lot of people pregnant at the moment, and we've had 2 or 3 recent births as well.
wow,
So
I know.
I thought it was fitting to get you on here and just have
Yeah.
a chat, particularly because you're pregnant. We've got Clarissa pregnant as well, and,
Yes.
and a heap of other people in our community that are expecting. So it'll be good to have a chat about what they can and can't do, what they should be eating, and
Yeah, for sure.
maybe get rid of a few myths about postpartum and pregnant people training. What do you reckon?
I think it's good. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a topic now. Falling pregnant.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of females do ask like a lot of questions about pregnancy and about supplementation and about training. And I
Yep.
mean, like the training area is not my expertise area, but
Yep.
I've sort of just given them like what I've been continuing to do
Yeah, sure.
as well. But yeah, no, we can definitely tap into talking a little bit more about the supplementation and the requirements and stuff. as
So,
well.
like, what are some of the common things that you do get asked, Mez, when people are, wanting to fall pregnant? Let's start at the beginning. Wanting to fall pregnant, what should they be doing to their body, or how should they be treating their body if they are wanting to become parents?
So I guess the thing a lot with my clients is a lot of the women I see are more PCOS, or they may have endometriosis. So there is that difficulty of falling pregnant. And
Can you
myself,
tell them what?
what polycystic ovarian syndrome
Yeah.
is. Yeah, so polycystic ovarian syndrome basically is a syndrome or a collection of symptoms that one might experience, which could be like anovulation, so inconsistent menstruation cycle,
Yep.
which then affects their ability to fall
And
pregnant.
it's quite common, isn't it?
Very, very common.
Yeah.
It could be presentation of something like insulin resistance, so where they might find a difficulty to lose weight.
Okay.
Also, then they might have high levels of testosterone, which can also then affect, the facial hair growth and
Yeah,
the
nice.
acne.
Now they know how I feel with
Oh,
my back.
yes, as a female, get the laser done, and COVID hasn't helped with that either.
No, tell me about it. The eyelashes, the eyebrows, it's all happening.
Yes. So the things we obviously look at for the females in my clinic is more looking at like the regularity of their menstruation cycle, working on trying to get their cycle to become more regular. So
Okay.
it's also reducing like the external stresses, the environmental stresses, trying to work on increasing their omega-3 intake quite significantly. So yeah,
Supplementation,
we do often recommend supplementation.
because they don't get enough in their diet.
Generally not.
Oh, what's going on? That's an amateur. Yeah.
It's cool. So we might look into some supplementation because that definitely helps with ovulation.
Yep.
Other things we might look into obviously is vitamin D, because that can also help with fertility.
Yeah.
And then looking into other sort of micronutrients like zinc. So we will definitely do something a bit more prescriptive depending
Okay.
on the sort of condition. But someone like general says, listen, I want to fall pregnant. first of all, like they say, I just want to get in a healthy sort of weight range,
For
or
sure.
you know, I sort of want to pick up my exercise regimen, and then say,
Yeah.
okay, well, when's your intended to sort of train? And then we go through sort of maybe looking at introducing folinic acid supplements, because
Okay.
that helps with the prevention of like neurotrue defects earlier on. So that they often recommend that have that 3 months prior to falling pregnant.
Yep.
It's not always the case, you
Some
know.
people don't even want it. It's just
Yeah.
it just happens, doesn't it?
Well, actually, even in my case, we were trying, but
Yeah.
I didn't actually even consider taking the supplements,
Yeah.
naughty me. But anyways, but yeah, so that's something I generally talk to them about, depending on their pre-existing conditions, or if they've had babies, and depending on their age, if they've had gestational diabetes
Yeah.
in the past, or family history of diabetes, and over the age of 35, you're at high risk of getting gestational diabetes. So that's diabetes during pregnancy.
Yeah, that's very common as well, isn't it?
Very, very common.
Yeah.
And the reason why women may get that, again, it's not necessarily their food. It
Yep.
could be just their hormones
Yeah.
and age and family history,
Yep.
hereditary,
Yep.
correct. So then they want to sort of really prevent that to occur during their pregnancy. So
Okay.
we might look at sort of really getting down pat with their nutrition.
Yeah, nice. Like I know from Clarissa being pregnant, and you know, obviously I've got 4 and 1 on the way. A lot of women will have, you know, cravings or
Yeah.
or you know, mood swings. and
Morning
that is-
sickness.
Morning sickness. Can you recommend anything that women can do to assist in that, or is there anything that
Yeah.
actually can help?
Well, listen, from a morning sickness point of view, for those that haven't experienced it, it's basically more when you're getting quite unwell or, you know, nauseated
Yeah.
or vomiting. It all depends on sort of the symptoms you're experiencing.
Yep.
I say more for the nausea. It is more, like you can have the best clear cut plan, but unless you sort of experience it, you might not know how you're going down it. But
Okay.
what are the recommendations? They often recommend things like ginger, because that can assist with soothing the gut lining, and also nothing with too overpowering flavors.
Yeah.
Obviously reducing the type of smells, frequent eating, things a bit more drier, so that's looking a bit more dry biscuits, and that might be the interim for like 12 to 13 weeks.
Okay.
Sometimes supplements.
Should they be doing it, just to cut you off?
Yeah,
Should they be doing it even when they're not experiencing symptoms?
No.
Okay,
No.
it's just when they're feeling
Only
sick.
if they're feeling nauseated
Okay.
and so on. I mean, again, touch wood, I've been pretty good. I haven't had any morning sickness.
Yeah.
Slight nausea, but I know that was more induced by like coffee as well. So
Okay.
then I stopped coffee for a while.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, no, not necessarily. Unless you're symptomatic, I will suggest to then
Just plod along.
Yeah, just continue on sort of with trying to get the best nutrition that you can during the pregnancy.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, but so if we're looking at then like supplements, like too much iron in supplements can also make you feel really nauseated.
Okay.
So sometimes people are taking supplements with really high iron levels, and then they'll,
Yeah.
because we need higher amounts of iron during pregnancy, but not everybody.
To manage fatigue, obviously.
Well, it actually helps with baby blood flow and baby
Oh,
development. So
I didn't
there's
know
like
that. There you go.
specific micronutrients that are higher during pregnancy that we
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
So folic acid, iodine, iron. We do need increased omega-3s, and there's some other little ones like choline,
Yeah.
calcium, and zinc. So that's why when people talk about like the pregnancy supplements, you know, what should we be looking for?
Is there an all-in-one?
There is,
Yeah.
but I'm not a big fan of them.
Okay.
The reason why is because there's only so much you can fit in a multi.
In a capsule. Yeah.
And the other thing, like sometimes you don't need all of
All of
them.
the stuff.
Like there's,
You
like I
find
said,
them, you might be deficient, or there might be deficiencies in one of the ingredients that you need, or
Correct.
one of the vitamins. So it's better to supplement just directly.
we'll
with
do it that one, yeah. So like folic acid, like you know, most of the multis don't have the active
Yep.
folic. So some people have like a genetic mutation where they can't convert the folic to folinic. So I always suggest like get the folinic supplement on its own.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they might need iron. Not everyone needs iron. So some people might need more iron.
Yeah.
In my case, I need like more iron because I've got iron deficiency. Women who are training specifically, so we're actually at higher risk of iron deficiency, especially in general, because our body is oxidizing blood flow so much all the time. So actually we need probably a lot more iron.
Yeah.
So then I would have to supplement with an iron. And actually a lot of women end up getting iron infusions during pregnancy as well,
Okay. Cool.
which is not good.
Yeah. So this is during pregnancy. Obviously, a few years ago, myself and Billy went over to CrossFit Kia Kaha over
Yeah.
in Maroubra. Shout out to Darren and Ali, mate, great mates of mine.
Yep.
And they had a doctor come in. She was a pregnant doctor, and we did like a workshop on postpartum training and also
that'd
training
be
while
good.
while
Yes.
ladies are pregnant. And we went through some do's and don'ts, and she was very much under the impression, and I'm sure there's going to be always a little bit of controversy around what you can and can't
Of
do.
course.
Some doctors want to dial everything back, and some doctors will say continue what you're doing. But she was very much convinced that when you are pregnant, particularly in the first trimester, not to do anything outside of the box,
Yeah.
and just to continue with what you're doing, so
Yeah.
you're not shocking your body. And but later in your second and third trimester, when your abdominal wall starts to separate and you got more weight on your pelvic floor and everything, that you shouldn't be doing anything jolting. So you wouldn't do a box jump, for example,
No.
or you wouldn't do a handstand push up, or
No. What about double unders?
well, yeah, probably not. So she
Alright.
was more under the impression that you shouldn't do anything that jolts. So if you were
Okay.
doing a squat, which she said you can do a back squat quite easily,
Yes.
obviously your core isn't going to be as strong and it may be a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah.
When you do your back squat, you wouldn't do it as much
low.
weighted, but you want a nice, slow,
Right.
smooth tempo. So you're not
Yes.
jolting at the bottom, like you wouldn't drop and bounce out of the
Right.
bottom of your squat.
So it's more jolting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
that's
so
good
you
to
don't
know.
put any pressure on your uterus,
Yes.
your ovaries, or
Yeah,
and your pelvic floor. So the idea would be to keep doing what you're doing, and also if you're doing any core work, you'd be very minimal core
Yeah,
work. So
yeah.
then, because obviously a lot of women will have that abdominal separation, and you
Yes.
don't want it to get too separated in
Yeah.
the end, and you have to have an operation to get
It's
it together.
interesting because like a lot of doctors that I've spoken to, they're like, "Oh, you can't run.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be doing that." And I'm like, I feel good with everything I'm
Yeah.
doing. But I was always under the impression from my first GP that whatever you did before you can do, but these
Continue.
are the things you sort of need to be wary of, and it's
Yeah.
very much the same things that you just said. So I think, like a lot of people can think, oh, I've got to stop training.
No.
But it's actually the best thing for you during pregnancy.
Yeah, I think so as well. We've had like a lady at Ride, Zaffron. Mate, she was I think 39 or 40 weeks pregnant.
What?
Or in 39 weeks,
Yeah.
she had the baby the next day, but was still training. She wouldn't come in and smash you out of class,
No.
but she would come in and kept moving.
Yeah.
Some women like Clarissa needed to stop with Keanu.
Yeah.
She stopped maybe 34, 35 weeks and just started swimming and going for walks
Yeah.
because it was just too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think people or women really should listen to their body.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, there is a misconception that they can't do intense stuff, but from that workshop that we did a few years ago, the
Yeah.
doctor was very much under the impression, and it's explained it really well, that the mother's body will you will do damage to your body before, and you'll protect your baby. Your
Yeah,
body
of
will
course.
protect your baby. So once again, they said like not to train in intense heat,
No.
because you don't want to overheat and
Yeah.
then end up fainting,
Yeah.
and do damage obviously
Yes.
to baby. So
Yeah.
mate, it's just a matter of continue what you're doing,
Yeah.
but just be careful and don't overdo it.
That's right. Yeah. And yeah, obviously you listen to your body to the capacity
Yeah.
that you can sort of go. But no, that's good to know because I mean, yeah, I get asked that question all the time. Like, I don't really know.
You don't know. Yeah.
I just keep going and
Yeah,
doing what I'm doing.
exactly. I think the easiest thing to say is listen to your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people just try to take external advice as
Mm.
gospel when, mate, back in the day there wasn't the GP to bring up or go see.
No.
So, and mate, I'm sure
Yeah.
the world has become populated through history. So it's obviously people have done the right thing.
Yeah.
So, Mez, leading up to
Yes.
to the birth.
Yeah.
Like, is there, and you'll probably know best, maybe there is, maybe there isn't, is there anything that women should be doing in nutritional wise in later stages of pregnancy?
Specifically during later pregnancy, I mean, there's a couple of things that happen throughout the pregnancy
Yeah.
already. So I would say that 1 in 4 women become very constipated. Not
Yep.
an area that people like to talk about. But
Psyllium husk or anything to help with
well,
it?
the thing is because the progesterone obviously is increased, so it relaxes the gut. So then, if there's everything becomes a bit more relaxed. So the two big things to concern about is constipation,
Yeah.
And reflux.
Okay.
Reflux,
that's annoying. Yeah.
very comes like it can come quite early. It can come later as the baby gets bigger.
Yeah.
So earlier on, if we're noticing that you are getting quite constipated, it is then increasing the fiber component quite a lot and reducing resistant starches. So resistant starches are things that take longer to digest. So bananas, rice, bread, pasta. They're our things that we love, but like they're also quite high in resistant starch. So for women that are constipated,
Yeah.
I try not to get them to overload too much
Yeah,
of that.
for sure.
Then we really focus on increasing their fiber, both soluble and insoluble. So looking at legumes, psyllium husk, maybe
Yeah.
bran, oats, even some bit of chia seeds, and sort of trying to pump that in. And fluid
Yeah.
hydration is important. But this is where the exercise is important because your everything is so slow with moving that exercise component, even just walking, will help things move through quicker. But
Yeah,
you need
sure.
the hydration to move that.
Mate, I don't think there'd be anything worse than being pregnant and constipated.
Oh,
that
mate.
must be the most uncomfortable feeling.
Then it exacerbates the reflux even more.
Wow.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 in 4 women definitely get that. Then reflux, well, yeah, that can come from a range of things. But again, the common question I get often asked is about like caffeine. Can we drink coffee during pregnancy? And you can. The evidence, I think it says up to about 2, don't quote me, it's either 2 to 300 milligrams. So it's up to 2 coffees a day.
Okay.
It's actually still okay. So people become very concerned about
Does it
the
affect
caffeine
baby?
intake.
You probably get a little bit more movement in there with the baby.
Oh, that's what I thought. I had a shot of coffee before I went for my last scan,
Scan?
and she said it's moving. I'm like, it's the caffeine.
Yeah, it's a caffeine.
But she said no, I don't think it's crossing the blood-brain barrier. I was like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
But in terms of that quantity amount of caffeine, it's okay. Some people just find that they get the reflux, so that's something
Okay.
we would definitely reduce.
Yep.
You don't have too much caffeine because obviously that can increase blood pressure,
Yep.
the early onset of
Yep.
labour, preeclampsia, and then so yeah, acidic type of foods, spicy foods, eating a lot.
No Indian.
Ooh, yeah, no Indian really.
Oh man.
For those that have the reflux,
Yeah.
and obviously even like tomatoes and stuff like
The acid.
are very acidic. So if you're finding that you're getting that, I mean there are some sort of like over-the-counter medications you can get.
Yep.
But I would say also like how you sit. If you eat and you lay down, or you watch TV after, like it's gonna kill you. And taking supplements as well on an empty stomach
Okay.
is even worse. So if you're taking your supplements, you need to make sure you're having with food, and we might disperse them through a couple of times in the day, especially if you're taking like 5 different sort of micronutrients,
Yeah.
like myself. It's not a good idea to take them all at once.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's interesting, man.
definitely. That's one of the things I've learnt my lesson.
You've learned the hard way, eh?
Yeah, it was not good.
And how's your mood been?
Good, yeah,
Sure.
probably, yeah.
Will Attila, he'll probably give me a different answer, mate.
I
Because
might cry for random things, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty good. No, mood's good. I'm honestly like I've been pretty blessed this time around. But
oh, that's good, man.
no, food safety also is another thing that women also ask about.
Yeah, because there's a lot of I don't know if they're old wives' tales or like maybe research going around about raw seafood
Correct.
and,
Yeah,
and certain
yeah.
things like that, and it's like. I always look back again, and there must be research around it,
Yes.
obviously, but through history, like
Can't
how
fathom
did
that our mums used to
how
do
did
it.
they eat this? How did they eat that? Did they not have oysters? Did they not have prawns,
Gosh.
shellfish? What was the story?
Yeah, no, my mum said she used to eat oysters and prawns
Yeah.
and drink beer. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. Mate, Clarissa still has it. Like she'll have a glass of wine.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean, listen, if we're looking at the actual guidelines and the food safety guidelines saying
Yeah.
absolutely no alcohol, again, there's only certain amounts that you can sort of, again, each to their own. I think
Yeah.
some people want to be very pedantic about it and some people not necessarily.
Yeah, for sure.
But if we're looking at more the food safety,
Yeah.
we're looking at more like things like salmonella from raw types of meats.
Yeah,
Prosciuttos, hams, turkey,
chicken,
obviously.
If you don't cook it properly.
Food handling purposes. That's why they talk about sushi.
Yeah. What is it about sushi? What is
It's
it?
the rice.
The rice.
Yeah.
So what? It's What if you have sashimi then? Is that okay?
Well, they don't encourage you to have any sort of raw fish
yeah.
because again, it may be sitting there for some time. The contaminants are higher.
Okay.
So yes, of course, the sashimi and stuff is like one to not recommend to have unless it's well cooked.
Is it because it's been sitting there, or is it because, like you say, if you, like the freshest type of sushi would be to catch a fish, cut it, and eat it?
Yes.
Is that okay? Like, would that be okay?
Guideline wise, no.
Okay.
Guideline wise, no,
Alright.
because it is still a risk of a higher sort of contaminant and bacteria growth.
Okay.
But you know it's been sitting there and it hasn't been, you've cut it fresh and most people will be like, oh, I could still have it.
Yeah.
But, guideline wise, it'd be something we would say, no, I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
Especially even oysters as well and prawns. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, oysters are throughout, like, the last probably 20 years. There's always been some contaminants with them. So,
yes.
yeah, I'd probably steer clear of that.
Even the sushi rice as well. So, like, that's the thing that, like, if you know you don't know how long it's been sitting there for. And rice is one of the biggest causes for food poisoning.
Oh, really?
For sushi.
There you go. Because I know, like, after I had my, takeaway shops and they were, after doing a food handling course, there's certain temperatures the food needs to sit at and
Yes.
should be over or under.
Yes.
So obviously the rice, it's like when you get your sushi, it's always room temperature pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and again, I think the other big thing is obviously like talking about like the cheeses as well. So sort of soft cheeses.
Yeah.
Again, I'd say like everything is pasteurized in Australia, so we're actually pretty good in Australia. I'd be more concerned overseas, but again, it's like the cross handling. So if I have like a cottage cheese and you dip your finger into the cottage cheese, and so that's more.
What would you say is the like top 3 like no's? Don't do. Don't eat.
Definitely like raw seafood. It's probably the one thing.
Prawns, oysters.
Yeah, definitely no go with that. Listen, deli meats as well. I'd probably say you can have them as long as they're heated, like on a pizza or you're doing a toasty.
Yeah.
That would be okay.
So any kind of like mortadella and all that
Yes,
stuff.
as long as it's sort of toasted.
Devon, no Devon.
No, I don't like Devon. I love prosciutto.
Devon and sauce.
Yuck, that's
Come on.
disgusting.
It's a typical Aussie, like, dinky dye meal. Man.
Really?
Yeah, man. On Lebanese bread too.
That's horrible. I haven't even tried Devon. So that one, two, probably the third one. I don't know, man. I probably would say,
Alcohol.
yeah, like to a degree. It wouldn't be like my like.
What about dairy? Is there any dairy that they should be staying away from?
Well, that's where like the soft cheeses and stuff.
Okay.
A big is probably the more like, where you purchase your stuff from is really a bit more pedantic because they talk about like even vegetables and salads. You got to make sure they're all clean. I'd be like, as long as you know they're clean, that's the main thing. So
it's that like with their veggies, they should be soaking them first, and their fruits. Like, would you recommend to put like this apple cider vinegar before they eat? No.
No, I just make sure they clean it properly.
No, like if you bought your apples and that from Woolies.
For the contaminants and the pesticides and stuff that they spray it. No, I don't even
Just
do
give it a
myself.
wash under the
Just give it
under
a
the
wash,
wall.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm usually hungry by
I
the time
see
I walk
like
out of Woolies.
all the like pedantic people doing it, and I've always thought, shit, I don't do it. I'll wash
I
it.
remember I used to work with a lot of oncology patients who used to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they do say like if you do wash the apple and you see the stuff that comes out of it, I'm like,
Okay.
you'll never eat an apple again.
Yeah, I just thought like, particularly with
Potentially.
COVID going around.
Yeah.
Like I see people walk in and I'm a stickler for it as well. Like I'm very pedantic with my fruit has to be crisp and hard with all of my fruit, and like I'll go up and touch an apple or squeeze a pear and then I might
That's
put,
true.
and put it back, and then I think how many people
Do
have
the same
touched that.
thing.
Could be 20 people touch that
That's
pear
gross.
before I stick it in my mouth.
And
so,
you know what? Even when they're putting it on the shelf, right?
yeah, definitely. Picked.
Yeah, no, I would 100% say it's just to wash it properly though.
Okay.
So I actually soak all my vegetables. I do.
Yeah.
And all my chicken and stuff, I put it with vinegar.
Yep.
My meat, I put it with a bit of salt and water.
Before you're pregnant as well.
Before I'm pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Just being extra cautious.
Now moving back to pregnancy.
Oh
that's
yeah,
good,
that's
man.
us. Yep.
Yeah. Moving back to pregnancy. Postpartum. Early stages of a lot of women will go through some postnatal depression,
Yeah.
some like hormone imbalances and everything, and they're going through,
Yeah.
you know, a rough time, particularly in the first, you know, couple months of having a baby.
Yeah.
And then, what would you? Is there any kind of supplementation or thing that you can recommend that would help to balance that out?
Well, again, that's a period of time where a lot of people go through the breastfeeding side of things. So breastfeeding, so the nutritional requirements actually from an energy perspective is actually even higher
Yep.
than sometimes during pregnancy, depending on the individual. And so I think the thing is what we're looking at postpartum is there is some supplementation actually. I actually haven't really looked into sort of the postpartum stuff as yet because pregnancy wasn't an area that I really focused on. I helped women fall pregnant.
Sports. Yeah, exactly.
And sports.
Yeah.
But then I don't really look into the postpartum. So that's actually something I probably need to look into myself.
Next episode.
Oh, I'll talk about postpartum and breastfeeding. God, wait for that. But but the thing is, a lot of people find that from they just want to. The one thing I really do not encourage is people like just to cut back on all their food and get rid of like all the calories because they want to get back to their pre-pregnancy weight.
They're going to need the energy, really, because they're breastfeeding.
Correct.
You know, the baby's going to get the nutrients from them, and also they're going to be under some stress, so they're going to need the calories and the nutrients.
A lot of girls want to do these like quick fad diets, and I'm like, definitely not. Like, you know, this is the time where you're sort of nourishing your baby with all your micronutrients.
100%.
You know, the priority right now isn't for necessarily weight loss, and they talk about, you know, how sometimes breastfeeding can actually, for some women, actually inhibit their ability to lose weight.
Yeah.
And the hunger levels start to increase as well during breastfeeding. So my biggest thing is trying to work, like I suggest, is like trying to get into a routine pattern of your eating habits.
Yeah.
That's another one, because you
Makes
tend
sense.
to lose that a little bit when you're waking up at 3 a.m. So it's trying to get them to keep in a bit more of still like the same pattern of eating and their fiber component.
Yeah.
And then I try and get them to really cut back on the refined types of sugars, especially if they're breastfeeding. So like, you know, they're going to have a lot of visitors over. People are going to bring you a lot of, you know,
sweets
and
particularly
desserts.
the wogs, you know.
You know, all the baklava and all that stuff.
Stop me, you know, I'm hungry now.
He's waiting for his lunch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really try and get them to focus on not having too much of that, especially because they're trying to nourish their baby to the best of their ability.
100.
So major thing I focus on is trying to get their fiber intake up, their hydration, and also like their stress levels, because there is a lot of stress going on at the time.
Oh, for sure, mate. I know from last baby, like it's been so long since my second last son, Kai, was born. He's 13, and then we had Keanu 2 years ago, and there was so much talk. 6 weeks is the hardest post pregnancy.
Was it?
Mate? And it was like 6 weeks dead set to the day was a dead set nightmare.
Yeah.
And then it was like a flick got switched, a switch got flicked, a switch got flicked, and then it was, mate, so much. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But that first 6 weeks was tough.
I've actually heard that quite a lot.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I've got so much to look forward to.
You do, mate. Plenty. You've got a lifetime to look forward
I
to.
know.
Mate. How good's that, man?
Yeah, no, exciting. Very exciting. Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
You got any names picked?
I've got 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call it? No,
No. It's the only secret
boy?
I'm keeping.
It's
a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having a boy. January 13.
Yeah, nice.
If it comes then. Who
January
knows?
13.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
nice and
know.
early.
Might come sooner. Who
Yeah.
knows? I've got a wedding the week before, so
Do you?
we'll see.
First one, but they generally say that
They come later.
They'll come on time, if not a little bit late. But you never
Yes.
know, mate. There's always exceptions. To
And
the
there's
rule,
always
eh?
a guy that wants to dance in there, you know?
Yeah. And how's the till Trevor, mate? Is he excited?
Yeah,
He's
he's
a special
good.
guy,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah. I feel like he's more prepared than I am.
Yeah, he's cool, calm, collected all the time.
I
Isn't
know. I'm like, can you breastfeed too? No, unfortunately. They do call it though sympathy pregnancy, isn't it?
he? Yeah. Oh, mate. I made a rule with Keanu, and this time,
Yes.
that I'm not going to put on weight with Clarissa.
No offense, sorry, Atil, but he's put on like 7 kilos.
Hey,
Poor
doesn't
guy.
matter. He's cuddly. Leave him alone,
I love
man.
him. I love him. I'm like, babe, this is sympathy pregnancy.
Yeah, but it's so true, mate. You see, like, guys kind of get into the routine. Like, I know, I get asked to go, Troy, can you get me Hungry Jacks? Or can you
Yeah,
get me,
yeah.
Macca's? Or just have this crave, I want a Slurpee, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always junk, but it's like, yeah, no problem, and just go and you end
You
up
get
getting something for yourself. Grab it. Just the
Yeah.
6 nuggets won't hurt, you know.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be saying this, but
Yeah.
it's what happens, you know. So
But it's funny. I don't even know. I haven't even done that with the till because I haven't been craving anything. Mandarins.
mandarins.
I'm craving I was craving mandarins and pickles. But he'd been going for the ice cream. He's like, babe, I feel like the ice cream.
Oh, he's got the cravings, eh?
He's like, I think it's the pregnancy. I'm like, okay, go get yourself some ice cream.
Yeah, cool. So, Mez, we've
Yes.
covered like postpartum,
Yes.
pregnant, pre-pregnancy.
Mm.
Any other tips that you can think of that
Listen, I think
important topics?
Yeah, I think that the one thing, people always like, get overwhelmed with the supplementation, and overwhelmed with the food, safety.
Yeah.
Like, I think the most thing is like, do a proper micronutrient blood test, see where your levels work better at, and it's also very much like symptomatic. So like, even though there is no recommendation during pregnancy to have more magnesium, for me during my pregnancy, I've been really cramping up. I think that's more the training as well. So like, consult with somebody if you need to, either that's your GP or like a clinical dietitian who has some sort of knowledge in the area of maybe the supplementation side of things, because I think that can be very overwhelming. So I think like that's the one big thing, because that's also helping with your mood and your energy during the pregnancy.
Yeah.
And 2 is like, go with the flow. Don't like overfeel the pressure. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. I think that's a big thing. Like,
Definitely.
the weight gain thing during pregnancy as well.
Fluid.
There is a lot of fluid. There are weight gain guidelines. I never go off them with any of my patients, and you will notice most obstetricians don't either.
Yeah.
Like, a good obstetrician, they might not like tell you how much weight you need to gain.
Yeah.
You obviously got to be concerned if there is the potential like
Massive. For
risks, diabetes. So they don't also have like complications during the pregnancy. But I would say like you can't predict it. The amount of clients I have who've done so well with their food, and then in the last 6 to 8 weeks the weight just piles on. You can't predict that.
Yeah.
So I think the pressure side of things, and because I think there is a lot of pressure from society.
For sure.
And that can obviously lead to that postnatal depression as well. So we sort of want to say, don't set the bar too high. Allow yourself, give yourself 6 to 8 months postpartum, or even 12 months to sort of get back to where you feel more comfortable, and then you can focus on that. You've got your whole lifetime to focus on that.
And you're a parent, and
you want to enjoy that time.
Yeah.
So I would say for all those that are pregnant who haven't had a child, or even who have had a child, because sometimes they feel like their first baby, they got back to their pre-pregnancy weight
Easy.
very quickly, and the second one they find it a bit more difficult. But I'm like, just trying to get more into the behaviours and looking at the things that work for them during the pregnancy or even pre-pregnancy, and not putting themselves under too much pressure.
Beautiful, man.
Simple.
Well said, man.
Thanks, man.
You're all right for your age.
I'm all right. Yeah.
41, 42, yeah?
Getting there to 53 now.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
You still look all right. The Botox is working, man.
I can't have Botox during pregnancy. I did not know this.
Okay, there's another one. Let's see, I just said it, they brought up another topic, mate. Mez, I think we'll leave it there. I think we hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
You brought the expertise, man, and
Appreciate it.
we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, postpartum.
Peace, bye.